Next up, let's talk about chords, also referred to as triads. We're going to be talking about three basic types of chords: major, minor, and diminished. And with these three chords, you can get tons of mileage. Almost every pop song under the sun could be boiled down to just these three types of chords. So let's get into it. First, let's just talk about the term major and what it means in music. Major essentially just means happy, joyful, triumphant, all the sort of synonyms for happy. So if we listen, just for example, to a quick chord, which we'll dissect in a moment, we can hear it sounds pretty happy. So that's major. Minor refers to sad or spooky. Now, for the most part, a minor chord is going to give you a more sad sound, and a diminished chord is going to give you that more spooky sort of sound, but they do sort of overlap one another. So let's start to boil things down. What is a major chord or a major triad? Tri meaning three, there's three notes in these. Whether it's major, minor, or diminished, we're starting with three-note chords. And we're going to be using skips. Remember our minor third and major third from the first class? Well, let's start to apply them. If I start with a major third from C, so C up 1, 2, 3, 4 semitones, and then up another 3, 1, 2, 3, we have the distance between the bottom and the middle is a major third, the distance between the middle and the top is a minor third. And that's essentially the formula for creating a major chord. We can do that anywhere. Let's start it on a couple different notes. How about E flat? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. There's another major triad. One more. B flat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Beautiful. So you can see it's really helpful to know your semitones, so make sure that you do practice them, I'd say more than the other intervals, because those smallest building blocks you're already starting to see, they help us build chords, and later you'll also see scales as well. So the major chord, the major triad, is a major third and then a minor third. 4 semitones, 3 semitones. The opposite is true for a minor chord. If I start on C, and I go up 1, 2, 3 semitones, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, now I have a minor triad. You can hear that sad flavor. Listen. That's just a C minor chord moving up through the notes. Back down. So let's try that formula built off of a couple of different notes. Let's try B next. If I go up 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, there it is, B minor. How about E flat, D sharp? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Not bad, pretty minor sounding. And one last one, let's go from G this time. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can do that built off of any note on the piano. I would say work with your teacher on this. Start to learn maybe all of the white, white, white chord shapes that are minor and the white, white, white chord shapes that are major. Get to know them intimately and then move on to, for example, white, black, white chord shapes. You could also do this chromatically. In other words, start on C, find your minor chord, then move up one note, one semitone, do the same thing. Up to D, same thing, and just move it up very gradually. But again, I would work with your teacher to really implement this stuff, to really get it learned and memorize it. But you can do this on your own as well too. There's a few different ways. So like I mentioned, learn them based on their shapes, so all the white, white, white shapes. You could practice them chromatically, or again, you can practice them completely randomized. So pick any random note and then pick major, minor, or diminished. Now we haven't talked about diminished yet, so let's finish up with that. A diminished chord is 2 minor thirds. Starting on D, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Definitely the spookier side of minor. Let's try a couple more. B, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Here's our B diminished. F, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So 2 minor thirds stacked. There it is, F diminished. So again, feel free to practice your majors, minors, and diminished randomly, chromatically, or with your teacher based on groups of shapes. Now, there's one formula that we didn't talk about, which is 2 major thirds to build a triad. These are called augmented chords, and notice the term diminished and augmented. Diminished means to make something smaller, so we've taken our minor chord and lowered the top note. It's a very crunchy, small sort of shape. An augmented chord is built off of 2 major thirds. C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here it is. I'm not going to give you too much context right now. We're going to be talking about these more later, but the idea is it's a major chord with the top note raised. It's been made bigger, augmented, like augmented reality. Your reality has been enhanced and it's larger. So we discussed major chords, minor chords, and diminished chords. And again, I'd recommend practicing those all over the piano. Hands together would be preferred. And once you get comfortable with those, continue through the course. Now, you don't have to memorize all those before you go to the next class, but I just don't want you to go through the course forgetting how fundamental it is to come back and practice these. Isolate them. So the same way we get better by practicing songs, we also want to make sure we're practicing all the fundamental components that make up a good pianist or musician in general. I'll see you in the next class.